The Fantasy Football Show.
Hello everybody and welcome to Clash of the Correspondents, the weekly show from PlanetFPL, where James and I bring on two of our correspondents, of which we have about 20-something, 22, 23, one for every single club, plus a couple of others.
Plus some poor bastards who got relegated.
Yeah, true. Who do we have on this week?
No one important.
No one important.
When we did the first 10 of these, I made sure we got all the 20 guys representing Premier League clubs on in those first 10 game weeks, with then midweek fixtures and whatnot, so it become a little bit more difficult in the planning for the scheduling of people's second appearance.
Yep.
When I started doing it, the first thing I did was when are Brighton playing Sheffield United, because when I started doing it, I just watched Brighton at Newcastle, and while the nation was generally underwhelmed, I saw something stylistically that really impressed me that day. And it was quite similar to what I'd already been seeing from Sheffield United. We have today Sam, FPL Seagull, our Brighton correspondent. How are you, Sam?
Good, thank you.
Good man.
Hello, everybody.
And we also have the never outspoken Tommo, FPL_Blade. How are you, mate?
Doing good.
Excellent.
I love him.
Clarify for the listeners where you are. Are you in Atlanta at the moment?
Yeah, I'm in Atlanta.
Nice. At home in the sunshine.
Yeah.
Is it warmer than Sheffield, Tommo?
It's about the same right now.
Okay.
Raining and cold.
Nice. Yeah. Been a very interesting season for both clubs. I suppose that Newcastle game was before you played Brighton.
Yeah, fortunately we had Sam on just before he pulled our trousers down in game week 8.
Yes.
Completely outplayed. Every time I've watched Brighton this year, I've been impressed. If I've seen Sheffield United and not been impressed, it was probably the 10 minutes against Manchester United. That's all I can think of.
Sam, am I right in we recorded earlier today, and I'm sure I read it in the paper or saw it somewhere, that when Graham Potter was offered the extension to his contract a few weeks ago, you actually had less points this season than you did last season under Chris Hughton.
I think we had like 1 or 2 points less. It's really similar between this season and last season. But with Hughton, we had that run towards the end of the season, towards February, where we lost all our points. So it's not a bad thing that we're at the same point as last year, because we're actually doing quite well at this stage last season.
Is there any fear, Sam, that could be repeated?
No, if we keep going like we are, I don't think there's any fear. No one's really that afraid of relegation at the moment. It hasn't really crossed anyone's mind. We're playing so well, but I think we'll be okay.
We're pre-recording this Tuesday night, and I think obviously a lot of us will have watched Brighton on Monday night at Palace. Sam, in not too many words, can you explain to the listeners how you didn't win that game of football?
Well, for those that haven't watched as much this season, that game yesterday kind of sums it up for us. 70 minutes of the game, completely dominant, created so many chances, and you come away with a point, and it's a weird one because you want to be positive about the performance, because I thought we were so good. Not many teams go to sell us and play them off the pitch like that, but you come away with a point, and it's, I don't know, we didn't take our chances, and I don't know how we didn't win that, but...
No, I mean, it was just a follow-on from what I'd seen at Arsenal the previous week, basically, in terms of stylistically, home or away, it doesn't seem to matter. I feel like, as well, since the United game, where you gave away a lot of chances, that's been tightened up a bit as well. I'd say the prospects of you going down this season are 0%, mate.
I hope you're right.
I actually think you'll push on for top half. Setting up for the season.
The draws do have to turn into victories, though. Some of these, like even in game week 2 when we played you, right, we ended up nicking a draw off you, and these are the games. Yeah. They're the difference between sitting around 13th, 14th, 15th, and actually being 7th, 8th, 9th, and being comfortable. It's turning the draws into victories more than turning the defeats into draws. That's going to make a big difference to Brighton's season, I think. And you've, truth be told, you've been unlucky with injuries as well. Like, had Trossard been fit throughout the entire season, maybe it would be a bit of a different story as well.
Yeah, well, I don't know how much you look into like expected goals, but in that table, I think we're 6th at the moment. Like, there's so many games which we should have won, but we've only got a point.
Yeah, that's been the struggle all season for Brighton.
Tommo, your away record's pretty poor, isn't it?
Yeah, not doing too good away from home at the moment.
Not doing good in general, really.
When was the last time you lost away?
I think it was Swansea in January 2019. So
It's got me this year, mate.
yeah. It's nearly 2020 time, but January. So you'd have gone pretty much the entire calendar year unbeaten away from home, which is phenomenal, especially considering the Premier League games.
Tommo, we have to have a word about Mr. Lundstrom. We're not going to bring up all the stuff from the summer.
I thought you were going to say Chris Wilder there for a second, because we have to have a word about him too.
We can do. So Lundstrom's had more big chances this year than the likes of Maddison, Martial, Heung-min Son. Is there any way at this point down the line that there's an excuse for someone either not to own him or B, be considering selling him?
No, he's a season keeper.
And C, following that, is there any rationale? Because there are some tough fixtures coming up. You've got City away and Liverpool away back-to-back towards the end of this year, start of next year. Do you play him?
I'm on the fence. I think City away, I probably will play him, depending on what else I've got in my team. Liverpool away, I'd bench him. But then after that, the fixtures look pretty good for us. So I'd be starting him majority of the games. I can understand benching him for those 2 games. But if you looked at the map from the weekend, he was the highest position player on our team.
The heat map.
And that's the case. He's in the box every week. Even though he had that little run of 4 or 5 games where he didn't return, he was so unlucky in some of those games. I mean, James, in the Tottenham game, he could have had 2 in that game. Hit the post, had a couple of chances. And it's been the case in every game. He's been given some chances to McGoldrick, who can't score. But, if some of those guys converted, he'd be getting a goal and assist a game. It's not even been.
Does it add even more weight with obviously like Fleck's couple at the weekend as well? We know there's obviously those 2, Fleck and Lundstrom, will make the runs from midfield. I noticed you'd said on Twitter that you're a Mousse owner and you're thinking of selling this week.
I've already sold him.
Sold. What's the thinking on that, mate?
So it came out. So I captained him for the Norwich game, right? So I was between him and Vardy, which took me a big hit. So apparently that week prior for the Newcastle game, he hadn't trained the whole week. I think he had a death in his family in France. And I think it hit him pretty hard. And since the Newcastle game, which he started on the bench, the Norwich game, he wasn't really in the game. And then at the weekend, he really wasn't in the game. He got took off at 60 minutes. So I think it's hit him hard. Plus he's had a niggly injury as well. And Oliver McBurney's come on and played 30 minutes the last 2 games and looked really, really good. So I wouldn't be surprised if he gets benched at the weekend for Brighton and McBurney comes in.
That's ITK there, isn't it? Well, did you think, Tom, I don't know if you'd listened in, but I said after the Newcastle game that I thought he'd played McBurney and Sharp because Newcastle as an opposition would sit obviously very, very deep, and therefore that sort of ball into the channels for Mousse and McGoldrick would be nullified. Was that your thinking as well?
Yeah, I honestly thought that McBurney would definitely start. I was a bit surprised Sharp started, and it's McGoldrick not playing was the reason we lost that game. I thought he might play McGoldrick in the 10 behind both of them for that game because they're going to sit back so much. And the link-up play just wasn't there. And fair play to Newcastle, they sat back and we couldn't break them down. And McGoldrick's key to that.
What do you think of Brighton yourself at the moment, Tommo?
So I watched 2 games. I watched the game last night and I thought they were fantastic for 75 minutes till Zaha, scored. Then they looked a little bit rocky, a little bit. I thought Palace were the better team for the last 10, 15 minutes. But the way they play is a little bit similar to what we play, with the 3 centre-backs and Dan Burn running down the wing. And, I thought they were very good. I'm a huge fan of Neil Maupay. We were linked with him for the summer. It was between him and McBurney, and he chose to go to Brighton instead. I think he would have been a perfect replacement for Shaw. Very similar kind of players. He's just a great finisher. So I'm very impressed with Brian. I think they'll be top half as well. Right mid-table, top half.
And
definitely based on performance, they should be top half. I still fear for results. Like you've got to convert those draws into wins.
Look how they're playing. And Morpay's on a run of goals now.
Sure, but then they're sitting set level on points with us, and we've been awful. So it doesn't matter how well you play. Net points is based on results. So they just got to keep converting. Like no, we talk about Mopay. He's 3-3, and so he's getting a bit of momentum now. But he is consistently the number one man up there now. So Mopay is the one that I would be considering. But I don't know, Sam, if you've got any other players that you think definitely are keep an eye on or get in. Trossard and Mopay always stick their hand up.
Well, Mopay's going to be the one that I think everyone looks at. He's getting into that form now. He's been playing well all season, but now he's converting them performances into some goals. I think he's the one that's the most guaranteed to start as well. Trossard and probably Gross are the other two where our goals are going to come from, but I'm not sure on starts really with those two. Trossard would be my second choice behind Morpay if I was going to bring someone into my team, because we don't really have a player like him. Like he can really change a game. I think he's brilliant. But Morpay's the one.
See, Mopay's at a similar price to take Danny Ings, for example, 6.1, 5.8, not a lot between them. Danny Ings was what, 5 from 5 or 6 from 6?
Yeah.
Mopay, is he just on a streak, or do you think he will consistently be able to maintain it? Because my worry with Ings is that he's not going to be able to maintain it, so I'm not looking at him. And with Mopay, it's the first time he's been on this kind of run and playing Premier League football.
We've got some nice fixtures coming up as well, which I think could help. We've got some nice home games, but he's had chances. I think I saw a stat, shots inside the box, or he's right up there in the league, and he did miss quite a few chances earlier on in the season. Fans started to criticise him a bit, but he's stuck at it, and he's really playing well at the moment.
From a defensive point, Sam, I guess there's two that really stand out from an FPL perspective. The goalkeeper Matt Ryan and Lewis Dunk. If you knew someone called James who was about to wildcard maybe this Saturday, which asset would you advise him to go for?
Probably Ryan over Dunk, but I'm still not convinced by our defence actually, which is maybe just comparing it to last season. We don't seem as strong without the ball, which is lucky because we do have a lot of the ball.
Yeah, it's true. But I think that comes with manoeuvring towards a more offensive style, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
One of the things I noted, I think you conceded the least headed chances so far this season, maybe, which is not surprising with some of the units back there as well. But they can play, like Byrne at left back Webster can play as well. And I think Lewis Dunk's really come on leaps this season with probably a little bit more responsibility, whereas him and Duffy came as a pair, didn't they? Like if one was missing,
I think that's
they
probably
were in trouble.
One of the biggest surprises of the season, not seeing Dunk and Duffy together. I would have, if you'd asked me it before the season,
you just said certainty. Like Webster and Byrne would have come very unknown to a lot of people. I think that's one of the most impressive things of Brighton. You can say, okay, yeah, points are a little bit less than this time last year, but like watching them towards the end of last season was so bad.
It's that stat you pulled out earlier where last season their possession was 41% and this year's 55%.
It ain't my stat, but it sounds good.
Yeah, I'm sure you said it earlier in the show.
I think you heard someone on the radio say that last night, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm going to have to listen back to our earlier episode, but I'm sure I remember you saying something about Brighton having more of the ball now.
I get the fear that Sam's talking about, though, because if you look at the Palace game, like we're all watching that game, we're going, Palace ain't never scoring here. And there's not too much that could have been done about the Zaha goal, but then once Palace equalised, they got a bit of self-belief and actually thought, they might even nick another one here. So what can you just elaborate on your fears there a little bit, Sam?
I think I'm not really sure, but we don't look as, like I said, I'm comparing it to last season. I always thought if we're 1-0 up, Houghton last 10 minutes, we always look pretty comfortable. But this season, we go 1-0 up and we miss all these chances. You can kind of think, okay, they're going to go and score, aren't they? As soon as they get the ball, they look like, especially yesterday, I just had that feeling they were going to score because without the ball, we're not as strong, it seems. But
you said when you went up to Anfield, Sam, about you gave up trying to second guess Potterball because this system he played essentially with basically 5 central midfielders, you could almost argue to an extent. Is that system, and I know he keeps trying things like, I mean, he changed the shape against my team to a 4-2-2 and completely hurt us in areas that we couldn't deal with. Do you think like the system's constantly evolving, or has he got a favourite in mind now?
I think earlier on in the season he seemed to favour the 3 at the back, but now we're sort of in this 4-4-2, but the wide midfielders, Gross and Moy, usually are quite narrow. So they're like the 4-2-2. That's the one he seems to favour. But like even during the game, it changes all the time. I think for our goal yesterday, Trossard found himself on the right, and Moy was on the left. And I don't know, it must be a nightmare to mark because the players are constantly moving about. And then the last 15 minutes, we went to 3 at the back. We brought on Duffy to deal with Benteke, and that seemed to work pretty well. So, yeah, it's so difficult to predict the team.
One of the things, I spoke about it quite a bit pre and after the win at Arsenal, was how well you seem to find spaces in between the lines, between midfield and forward, that really damages people. I think it's a compliment to the way you've changed style. Talking of styles, yours, on the other hand, Tommo, never changes.
Sorry, what was that?
Your style never changes, and there's no need for it to, is there?
No, it's still not changed. Like I said previously, I think some games at home we're going to change and play with a 10, maybe McGoldrick in the hole, but that's still not happened yet. So why change it, right? I mean, it's working.
Is the Sheffield United triple up now something real? Because I've got, obviously, along with half the game, Lord Lundstrom, and I'm with you that play him week in, week out because he's a midfielder. He just is an attacking midfielder. In the Sky game, I picked up Baldock, and now I even think in FPL, Baldock's consideration, and Fleck is only 4.9 million, and I need someone to come away from Yarmolenko, and I'm just looking at it thinking, is a triple up, like whether you've got Henderson or Baldock and Lundstrom and Fleck, a possibility?
Yeah, I do think it's a possibility. I don't think this is the time to go there with the fixtures from game week 20 to 24. But after that, 25 onwards, we have a great run of fixtures till the end of the year. Right now, I've got Stevens and Lundstrom.
You nearly called him Lord, didn't you?
Well, he is the Lord, right?
He is the FPL Lord.
So we all know about Stevens and how I feel about Stevens. But Baldock's been the more attacking fullback this season, which, I know we talked in the summer. I was worried about Baldock, to be honest. He, pound for pound, has probably been our best player this year. He's been fantastic. He's really improved his crossing and shooting. Him and Stevens apparently been staying behind every day, practicing shooting. And we actually got in a freestyler, and they've been practicing skills. So for the goal against Norwich, they've been practicing doing back-to-back skills. So if you watch that, so he did the step over and then the turn, and Baldock scored. So Wilder's just crazy.
It just feels bizarre that when we talk about overlapping centre-backs and the gritty style of Sheffield United, you're telling me that they're doing tricks and flicks in training. I have to say, I'm jealous. When I look at Sheffield United, the emotion that is overriding, because I look at Chris Wilder. You saw the videos of him coming up to the away fans after you turned around the game the other week, and I just wish I could see that passion from Pellegrini. And I know they're not the same type of character, and you're not going to get the same kind of reaction, but you want a manager that he just kind of gives a shit, don't you? Really?
Take Potter's quite calm, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
You don't have to be like that.
No, you don't. But I still think Potter shows a bit more passion than Pellegrini. But when I look at Chris Wilder, Ben, I'm jealous of just the passion that he shows and the determination, and also from the team, the performances.
Yeah, he's fantastic. I mean, it's just what Sheffield fans want. I mean, he just the last two games we played at Norwich and Villa, we didn't play well in the first half. We kind of had a bit of a hangover. And Wilder's just, I think, gone and ripped into him at half-time. And they've come out our rocket. Because it was, if we'd have lost that Norwich game, we'd have been, I think, 4 points off the relegation zone. And we're back in the mix. So it was a big win for us. I know we've been playing well, but we had, the 3 games, Tottenham, Man United, and Wolves. We should have won all 3 of those games. And we got 3 draws. At Wolves, we were fantastic. We should have won that game. There's a few VAR decisions in there, but we won't get into that. But, he's passionate, he's honest, and he gets 110% out of his players. And if you don't, you're out. So
that's why I'm worried. If I bring in Fleck and he is at that price, a bench player, I don't know. I'll have that temptation to want to play him week in, week out.
Also, we've just adding in, just at this point, I know we covered it on the other pods, but he's
suspended this week, so I'm not buying him this week.
Baldock and Lundstrom both on 4.
Yeah.
So it doesn't actually, although they're probably, they're the best of the 4 assets.
What, Henderson?
3. Baldock, Lundstrom and Fleck.
Yeah.
You'd say are probably the best 3 if you discount the goalkeeper, maybe.
Yeah.
It's not really the right time to buy him,
it's not. I mean, Tommo's right there. Even with the fixtures coming up,
I think Norwood's crucial to them. Not so much an FPL asset, although as we said, he created chances at the weekend. He's on 4 yellows as well now. So they could end up in a position where, I think, particularly if they're missing a couple in that midfield area.
Yeah.
The team's so settled, isn't it? I mean, Brighton have evolved this year. We've said kind of coping with the Trossard injuries and stuff. Whereas Sheffield United have got a really stable team at the moment. You don't quite know the reaction if, 3 or 4 of them go out together, for example. From that perspective, and it's not to take anything away from the achievement, they have been lucky this year with injuries. Certainly, other than sort of in the front 2 area.
The thing with Sheffield United, and it's very similar with the likes of Burnley and what have you, because of the manager and the way that they are coached and the type of team that they are, you very rarely go on 3 or 4 or 5 match runs without a victory. Like West Ham, we went 7-8 games with 1 victory. Burnley, you get a couple of bad results, Dyche is going to be in there. Same with you guys. You put a couple of bad performances, the manager is going to be in there. That's why when I buy assets from these clubs, unlike Arsenal, which is just completely hot or cold, or a lot of clubs like that, West Ham, prime example, you don't get that so much with Sheffield United. You know that you trust the manager to not go on a stupidly long run of a winless run or what have you.
Tommo, take a deep breath before you answer this question. Where was Sheffield United finish this season? Deep breath.
7th.
I thought he was going to say that, and I think you're probably right. You're probably right.
Well, it's a fair call as well because they've got exactly the same points as Wolves had this time last season. That's where they finished.
Yeah, Wolves have got the potential to be up there as well. You've seen that Spurs and United have been doing better recently in terms of the results. Wolves have got Europa League football, so 7th would be a very, very good finish for you guys.
Possible if the team stays fit.
I agree with you.
Yep.
Sam.
Yep.
There's a firm favourite in your squad, not your FPL squad, your real squad that I've had last season in bits and pieces and the season before in Gross. Is he back to his best?
I still think he's our most creative player, yeah. He's on all the set pieces and he's always been one of my favourite players. But he gets a lot of criticism, I think.
I mean, he was playing deeper in patches of last season. He wasn't maybe in his number 10 position that he's potentially best in. But because he's one of those players that I've still got a soft spot for, but he's served me well in the past. If he was on form, I'd definitely have my head turned. Him and James Ward-Prowse.
0.6 more than Trossard, though.
Yeah. It's the reliability.
Trossard's goal involvement numbers when he plays, it's good.
Definitely.
I think I would favour Trossard myself if you were going to go and buy 1 or 2. What's your thoughts on that, Sam?
The price difference, I think I'd favour Trossard as well, but Gross as well if he gets a nice run in the team, because earlier on in the season they didn't, even when Trossard was fit, they didn't really start together. Now they are, maybe because Connolly's injured, maybe they're forced into starting both of them, but if I had to choose between the two for my team, I'd choose Trossard, yeah.
Is Connolly injured, or were you feeding him tequilas the other night? Is that what happened?
Yeah, he's injured. I didn't go up to him and ask him about his injury. I think I would have ruined the mood a bit. But,
Sam,
yeah,
was he pissed? Be honest. Yes, I'd say no more.
He was drinking.
We might be done for libel here, mate.
I don't want to stitch him up, but
Fair play. The kid's, 18, 19? Let him have a few.
If he's injured, he's injured.
Let him have a few.
What does it matter? Yeah, I'm in agreement with that. It's interesting kind of just picking up from what Sam's saying here, because I was beginning to think after last night about Duncan Ryan a little bit. And it feels like the advice very much there is still go forward. Where actually, as well, with Sheffield United, it still kind of feels defensive. Would that be right, Tommo?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've been a little bit unlucky with some of the clean sheets. I think we'll get a few more coming down. Like I said, I would just keep Lundstrom. I'm going to sell Stevens, I think, after the Watford game for that 5 or 6 game run, and then jump back in and double up on the defence again. And maybe Muse again, depending on how he does over that period.
You say focus on the back. I suppose you mean midfield and defence, because
Lundstrom's a defender in the game.
He's a defender in the game.
I mean, the most attacking one from midfields and forwards that you'd look at, considering what Tom was saying about Mousse there, is Fleck.
Yeah,
you're talking about fifth midfielder option, aren't you?
Relatively, your strikers don't score that many goals. I mean, Moose has been the most involvement, but the likes of McGoldrick and McBurney and Sharp haven't been contributing that much with goals this season. It's been the midfielders that have been scoring the goals, and that's not to say they're not putting in a shift. McGoldrick tracking back and putting in that sliding tackle the other day it was so typical, wasn't it? He's
so good. I can't even talk. Big him up high enough, McGoldrick. He just works his socks off. I was looking in. There's a guy called Blaze Analytic on Twitter who does a lot of stats, and McGoldrick has the highest defensive stats from any striker in the league. He's 32 years old, and he works harder than anybody else, pressing, interceptions, tracking back, linking up, playing. He just can't score.
That's the thing. He won't get the credit because he doesn't put the ball in the back of the net. But
he did this last year, but not as long as this. And the Blades fans are just, so behind him. When he scores, it's going to go crazy. So he's going to get one. He hits the target. It's not like he doesn't hit the target, but it's just not going in for him. So
I'm really looking forward to this game this weekend. I've had my eye on it for a while. I think it's something stylistically in Sheffield United which I've noticed since we played you, Tommo. And obviously we kind of are all aware of this overlapping business on the wings now with the centre-backs and etc. and how you, in spite of the fact of basically playing only one wide player on either side, manage to get like 3-on-2s and 3-on-3s and that kind of thing in wide areas. I have noticed since that game that you do, because you switch the play so well and so quickly, that you do leave a lot of space centrally. And Brighton have obviously become very good, like I already said, about picking up the space between the lines. But if Brighton don't deal with the problem in the wide areas, they'll still get done as well. So, like, tactically, it's going to be really interesting. I don't know but Potter might literally just match up on them, and cause a surprise, and like bring a Duffy in, for example. I don't know. What's your thoughts, Sam? Or do you just think he's happy with his 4-2-2-2?
I wouldn't be surprised if he mixes it up. I never know. I don't know what to expect, but I think it'll be really interesting. We could match him up, bringing in Duffy, like you said.
I wouldn't see him doing that because, I mean, that said, Sheffield United are third for crosses so far this season, which it's remarkable for a team that plays 3 at the back. So it's something he might look at, particularly with, I think it's more the runners from midfield. I think Dale Stevens being back for you at the weekend be a big bonus. I don't think you needed to miss him on Monday night, Sam, but I think it'd certainly come useful for you with the running of Lundstrom and Fleck at the weekend.
Yeah, I think it's just good to have the option of Duffy if we want to put him in there, even late on in the game, like we did against Palace. It's always nice to have the option of Shane Duffy to head everything out.
Be interesting. I mean, the easiest way for Sheffield United to adapt if Brighton play that formation is just tell Lundstrom and Fleck to put the brakes on a little bit. It's very easily fixable, and a little bit like in the Norwich game, if they're not playing well enough, get them to get higher up the pitch again and put the pressure back on. I'm fascinated to see. It's a shame that it's not on the telly. I'm going to try and get hold of a stream for it.
Yeah, do it. There's but both of you guys, we spoke a little bit off air, flying high in the FPL Correspondents League. Sam, you're second at the moment, hot on the tails of Johnny Pringle. Ben, you're third. There's 14 points between you, both over 1,000 points so far this season as well, doing fantastically well. You must be happy with the season so far, Ben.
Yeah, I'm doing all right. I had 2 bad game weeks in 15-16. Didn't panic, kept hold of Sterling and De Bruyne, and then I went from 50,000 to 200,000,
right,
then back to 85,000 in 1 week. So it shows you how close you are, and just not panicking, not selling. And I targeted that Arsenal game for De Bruyne and Sterling and kept them both, and
bang,
had a good week.
Yeah,
nice little 84 points, second highest score after Manchild, so was a high score this week.
Was Manchild the highest score in the league this week?
89 points. 89 points.
He's got Salah as dead captain and all that business.
What?
Yeah, it's no.
I have to. He's sitting pretty in New York where he is on 89 points. What? That is mad.
He doesn't need to know, does he? And Sam, you're obviously doing really well again, having finished with 12k last year. Was it for yourself? Overall?
Yes, up there. I was up there somewhere.
I have a really important question for you, though, having just had a glance at your team. How many Sheffield United players will you be starting this weekend?
Lundstram. I'll be starting Lundstram.
Joss Lundstram.
Yeah, I think. Is he the only one I've got? I think he's the only Sheffield United player I've got in there. And because of the blank with Liverpool, I don't have a choice. I started Zaha this week, it hurt me when he scored, but...
And Tommo, no faults to play Connolly if he's not on the piss and fit, I take it. What do we think prediction-wise, Sam?
It's going to be an interesting game. I'm thinking a 1-1. Yeah.
Tommo?
2-1 United.
I'm going with Tommo on this. I think it's going to be tight in the first half, and then Sheffield United are going to come good in the second half. It's going to be 0-0 or 1-1 at half time, and then you'll come good 2-1 or 3-1 in the second half for me. Maybe even 3-2.
I think I'd shade Brighton this weekend. I think Fleck will be a miss for them.
Yeah, for sure.
I mentioned about those central areas. Just who played there, Tommo?
So Luke Freeman's more like, but Mo Besic has been coming and playing very, very well. He's a bit more defensive. So I think it's a toss-up. I don't know how Wild's going to go. He might start Besic.
And that says a lot for Chris Wild. I saw him on loan at Middlesbrough either last year or the year before, Mo Besic, and absolutely awful, atrocious. These two have both got great coaches. I think Brighton, if Brighton can manage the situation in the wide areas, I think they can actually cause United some problems centrally. I think Brighton will win this.
Yeah, both teams to score would be a good bet on this one. I think.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Be really interesting to look at. Yeah, is that it? Are we
I think
good?
so. Yeah.
Sam, thank you so much for the
very
articles.
Unusual. We have two guys on and just spend half hour kissing their arse on how good their teams are.
Yeah, it's not common at all. Tommo, when are you visiting rainy England? Come on, we're gonna plan.
I don't know. I'm definitely coming back next year. I just got a new job, so
nice.
Starting in January, so I'm gonna
kind of
wait and see how that goes.
It's not at Arsenal, is it?
No.
Arteta's still not been announced there, so you never know. There's still opportunity at Arsenal, and hold out a month, and there's a new job going to be available at West Ham, maybe even as well.
Yeah, it might be sooner than that. I take it, Sam, third trip into London due for you very shortly.
Yeah, Boxing Day.
Yeah, third trip in a month. How are you coming out? There's no trains.
Yeah, I haven't figured out that bit yet, but we'll see.
There's always a way where there's
He always finds a way. Fair
Indeed.
game.
Guys, again, thank you for the support on Twitter and sharing all of the articles. I know you do a great job with tagging us in when you're giving out some really useful information. The listeners do really appreciate it. It's one of the most talked about things is the fact that we have correspondents that can help us for clubs that people don't watch week in, week out. So we appreciate it on behalf of all the Planet FPLers out there. And good luck this weekend, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No problem.
Cheers, guys. Much a pleasure. Really good luck this weekend and for the season. You're both going to have good second halves of the season, I'm sure.
Agreed. What have we got left this week, James?
Final plan tomorrow.
The final plan before game week 18.
If we're captaining Mulpay or Mousse.
Yeah, or Jimenez or somebody differential. I mean, this is the
Marcus
week of the
Rashford.
differential captain.
Yeah, I think I'm done for the week, you know?
Yeah.
I'm just not going to do anything. I've really sold tomorrow's podcast now, haven't I?
Yeah, put your feet up and there we go. So thanks for tuning into all of the shows this week. Do catch up on Sky FF and Tottenham if you haven't had to listen to those. Other than that, we'll be back at you tomorrow with the final plan. Ciao for now.
Thanks, gents. Cue music, Suj.
The Fantasy Football Show.